in the application of sports sociology to the solutions of problems in international sport and intercultural conflict, which hopefully, if I have time, I'll get to more in a little bit. Some of the three major conferences that have been dedicated to the issue of applied sports sociology is NAS in Boston, 1985, AFERD in Cincinnati in 1988, and then NAS again in Cincinnati in 1988. So you can see there's a big push in the late 1980s for this, for an idea of applied sports sociology and advancing it. Yet we still have not come a long ways from those late 80s. Now, the discussion about issues of relevance and application in sociology predates sports. So applied sociology predates applied sports sociology by about a decade. So we're not trying to invent something in sports sociology. It's already been talked about and has been applied multiple times. It's just we have not championed it now in the sports world. As you can see, some of the journals that are in existence that are exclusively dedicated to the application of sociology or to applied sociology are the following journals. Let's see. What exactly is sports sociology? I'm going to skip over that. Except this, I might end on this one. Some of the current application of sports sociology, as I mentioned earlier, is for intercultural and peace building. Some of the current scholars and practitioners and advocates and professors, whatever name you want to give them, are the following. John Sugden is working in Palestine with Palestinians and Israeli children. Alexis Liris and Andrew Yanakis have been doing similar work in Greece and Cyprus, working with the intercultural conflicts between the two cultures. Marion Keim-Lees, who we're fortunate to have here at this conference, has been doing similar work throughout Africa. And then Eli Wolf out of Brown University has been doing similar work, but with children and youth with disabilities and how they can integrate that population into the larger mainstream sport culture. And that's it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Troy Morgan. The emergence and development of the North American Society for the Sociology of Sport, NAS, is inexorably intertwined with the growth of sports sociology in North America and Europe, and particularly instructive to us. All the information that you saw, it took us through the history of the development of the full coming of the North American Society for the Sociology of Sport. We do not have any such entity as yet, so it's instructive for us. Furthermore, the authors extend the issues raised in the sociological study of sport in North America, and he discussed the implications as it relates to the study of sport in Caribbean society. Or in fact, we should reflect on how it can relate to us. I guess that's going to come during question time. Okay, thanks again, Troy Morgan. The next presentation, Assessing Mental Toughness in Trinidad and Tobago Male Athletes. This will be done by Dr. Khatija Khan. She is a lecturer in clinical psychology at the University of the West Indies Psychiatry Unit. She completed her PhD at Hull University in the United Kingdom in psychology, cognitive neuroscience. She went on to work as a research associate at the University of Sheffield, UK, as a part of the Translational Neuropsychology Group. Her research interests focus on the standardizing instruments for use in Caribbean populations and cross-cultural assessment. She also does multidisciplinary research in cognitive performance and wellness. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Khatija Khan.
Have just a tiny technical assistance here. I'm not too sure what's what's going on. Perhaps I'll start in the meantime. Okay. Well, thanks very much. It's really great to see such a diverse audience, and I'd like to thank the organizers for the opportunity to speak to you today about mental toughness. So I repatriated to Trinidad about 3 months ago after 10 years in Jamaica and the UK to take up a post at UE. And I must say this conference was a catalyst to kickstart some research on mental toughness. I collaborated with Dr. Farid Youssef and Peter Clough in the UK, and I'll talk to you about some of the work that we're getting involved in. So, when you think of mental toughness, it's not just a concept that's limited to sport. So mental toughness, I think, has taken off. It's part of the whole zeitgeist of brain training, brain fitness. It's not just about your physical readiness and your physical fitness. It's also about the readiness of your mind. So there's mental toughness training. Navy SEALs are adopting it. Peter Clough has been using it in schools in the UK for high school students to improve their GCSE scores. They've also been using it with adolescents to help with anti-bullying. Even somebody suggested maybe even musicians might need mental toughness. So the concept, as I'm going to speak to you about, is not just sports specific. It can be applied to any sector, the corporate sector, health sector, etc. And I'll tell you why I think it's important that we have also concepts that are not just sports specific and how it can be helpful. So does mental toughness matter? Well, we heard from Professor Otley, of course it does. It's sometimes one of the critical factors in coping and ensuring success. So some research published in this magazine, John Hall's work, so mental toughness improves race times in distance running, and it accounts for 40% of the variance there. So the fitness must be there, but the mind is paramount to performance. So we're not saying you don't need to be fit, of course. I don't expect to run a marathon and get the same time as probably Professor Otley or Ms. Jackson. So definitely not. So let's go first with a definition of mental toughness, because there are many definitions in the literature. This is the one I'll be focusing on. So mental toughness is a quality which determines in large part how people deal effectively with challenge, stresses, and pressure, irrespective of prevailing circumstances. So what makes one person, in the light of same stresses, same adverse circumstances, rise to the fore and succeed, whereas another person, in face of those stresses, will crumble? So maybe mental toughness might be the key to discerning between these two groups. So I know it's a cheeky picture, cheeky choice of pictures there, deliberately. First I was going to put up a picture of the West Indies team. I think that one might also be appropriate. Yeah. What are some of the key issues surrounding mental toughness? What makes it an important construct? Well, it's what causes one person to succumb and another to thrive. I'm sure we all felt the same during the Olympics. We felt it first half, you could see it on his face. Can we identify people's strengths and weaknesses in these areas? Because it's one thing to suggest that mental toughness might be the key, but can we operationalize that? What do we mean when we say mental toughness? Which specific aspects are we talking about? And so we talk about mental toughness. Is it something you're born with? So you're born to be an athlete, and if you don't have that trait, too bad. There's some of us are born, or can we grow this trait? Can we develop this trait? Well, I'm sure the sports psychologists would agree 100%. Of course we can. Some element of it might be hereditary, a predisposition, a personality trait, but certainly there's room. So can we toughen up individuals to enable them to handle stresses more effectively? And also, how can we support individuals better with their specific needs? Again, your presentation spoke about that, even the response of the practitioners. Are they meeting the needs of their specific clients? So let's focus a little bit more on this construct. So mental toughness, as measured by the Mental Toughness Questionnaire, has 4 components. So there's commitment, control, challenge, and confidence. So just to go through these briefly. So when you talk about control, there are 2 aspects: control with respect to emotions and control with respect to your life. So it's a sense of being in control of what happens to you, of being able to shape your destiny rather than passively accepting events as fated. Having a more internal locus of control rather than an external one. Then there's commitment. So it's a strong sense of being committed to yourself and your work. You're fully involved in something, 100%, and you give it your best shot. It's not, well, I might give it a try. I have some free time. I could do this. Yeah? Challenge. A tendency to see life's downs and obstacles as challenges to be met rather than threats. So do you rise to the occasion when you're faced with an obstacle or a barrier, or is that thing to make you turn course and say, not me on this? And finally, confidence, which again has 2 components: interpersonal, so confidence in your interpersonal skills and confidence in your ability. And these are separate and important. So it's both a belief in yourself, your skills, how you can interact with people, and especially as an athlete, when you have coaches who this is their way of coaching. And maybe it mightn't be the way that you would like them to be, but do you get thwarted by people with difficult personalities? And then there's the ability. Do you have confidence in your own ability? Do you believe in yourself? So even if you have a particular match, a particular performance where you didn't perform as you would have liked to, do you still have the confidence to believe the next time I'm going to perform as I can? I know I can. So the MTQ, so here's some evidence now about its use and how we can use it. So this is one of the studies that Peter did on mental toughness and rehabilitation. And people with higher mental toughness scores, they believed they were less susceptible to future injury. They were better able to cope with pain during rehabilitation by using more direct coping methods. Whereas those who were less mentally tough, the pain bogged them down and they responded negatively to it, even worse. So their response was in the other direction. They had greater attendance at rehabilitation sessions and higher levels of adherence to procedures whilst within the clinical settings. But more importantly, they had higher adherence to home-based exercise and procedures. So you send them off on their home, they're not in the presence of the physiotherapist or the psychologist. People with higher mental toughness adhered more to these procedures. Some other work, so mental toughness has been correlated significantly with coach ratings of performance, with level of competition. So those who are competing at higher levels, we spoke again about in the panel this morning about the different levels of competition. And the consequences for that, or the implications for that, is if we are not given our local athletes opportunities to perform at these highly competitive levels, it could also have implications for their psychological performance, their levels of mental toughness. It also correlates with the player's own estimate of mental toughness. So this is not a concept alien to them. They are able to have self-awareness, and players can predict their own levels of mental toughness. It also correlates with optimism, self-image, life satisfaction, and self-efficacy, and with higher pressure tolerance. In this particular study, an Italian study with elite triathletes, these were teenagers. They found this gender difference there. So for our study, we were not just concerned with how, we wanted to find out how mental toughness related to some of the other measures. If we want to adopt it for use with urban populations, how do we know that this measure is still going to be valid? Is it reliable? So we wanted to look at the relationship between mental toughness and measures of resilience, measures of athletic coping skills, and also the player's own self-report and estimate of their mental toughness. So in addition to these other measures, we also wanted to find out about some of these demographic factors. Does age have an impact on your mental toughness? Education and experience. So the longer you play, the higher, the more competitive level you play. Does this also impact on our local players' mental toughness? So for our sample, so this work is ongoing. So I'm going to present you now our preliminary data based on the sample we've collected. So far, we've collected data from 2 teams, one at the pro league level in football, that is, and one team who's playing in the Eastern Division. So we have about 34 participants